So, I know this isn't a Final Fantasy video, but with 343 early releasing Halo Infinite, and with it being my current addiction, I thought that I may as well make a video since Endwalker is so far away. I think the main question in everyone's mind is Halo Infinite a return to form? Are we finally back at the place where Halo can punch with the big dogs like Call of Duty and Battlefield? Let's talk about it. A little backstory so you can sort of understand my opinion on things. In 2007, I got an Xbox 360 to share with my brother. It came with a few games, but one that stood out to us was Halo 3. I never played any of the older Halos until the Master Chief Collection, because we were a PlayStation 2 household. What we held in our hands, we didn't realize it was something to be remembered, even to this day. This game had something for everyone. The campaign was good, probably even better at the time if you played the previous ones. The multiplayer was amazing for its time. Spartans were fast, but didn't have sprinting, unlike every other shooter I played before this one. The sandbox allowed for some insane hijinks to occur that can only happen in a Halo game. If neither of those things are your cup of tea, then the Forge mode allowed for the most memorable gaming moments that I still fondly miss to this day. Jenga, Drive or Die, Fat Kid on Kiddie Lane. The amount of nights I spent with 8 to 12 people just playing custom games. I do miss it. The glory lasted until Reach's launch. Not to say Reach was bad, I loved Reach's story, I loved the gameplay, it added my favorite gun, the DMR, but it started the trend of something I never liked in Halo: sprinting. I 100% stand with the no sprinting in a Halo game. I enjoyed Reach for some time but found myself always going back to Halo 3. The custom games didn't feel as fun in Reach, it missed something. Eventually Bungie stopped making Halo and they went to 343. I tried out Halo 4 but it had the same issues I had with it previously. What made Halo fun were the friends you played with, just hanging out, chilling after a day of school playing custom games to just pass time, for the fun of it. But by this point, most of the people I played with weren't interested in Halo anymore, now that Bungie wasn't making it. I skipped Halo 5, as I didn't get the newer Xbox, and instead opted for a PS4. I saw gameplay, I watched reviews. From what I saw, they doubled down on making it less like Halo. The Master Chief Collection was great, as it allowed me to finally see the campaigns of Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2, whilst also getting some nostalgia hits from replaying old campaigns I did before. But honestly, most days I would reminisce about Halo. I missed playing Halo. I wanted to play Halo. Fast forward to now, Halo Infinite has been out with its multiplayer beta for nearly a week. One of the biggest props I can give to this game is that it is free. I have so many friends who had never even given Halo a shot if it wasn't for it being free. Now they play regularly and want to actively play more. They're even interested in Infinite's campaign and the old ones in the Master Chief Collection. However, it being free does incentivize predatory monetization practices, but we will get into that later. To get back on topic, I believe the groundwork being put on display here has the potential to bring Halo back to what it used to be. Let me explain. After Halo Reach, the game's main focus changed very rapidly. What was once a game that had minimal movement options and all the power went into how much better your aim was than your opponent, turned into Spartans using powers to gain advantages. Stuff like armor lock, sprinting, jetpacks, and the thruster. Each installment after Reach, these powers got more and more prevalent. I mean, just look at how Halo 5 plays. Spartans just peeking corners to shoot shots, then they blast themselves back behind cover. To me, that just isn't Halo. In Infinite, the abilities are still present, but thank you 343 for making them not on spawn. Can you imagine the grappling hook or the repulsor being something you could use on spawn? The sandbox would be very different. Everyone would be Spider-Manning around the entire map at Mach 30 speed. The powers are on the floor, and that allows for the gameplay-to-gameplay moments to be much more thought out. For example, skyjacking a Hornet with a grappling hook would be way too easy if all you had to do was switch classes to a grappling hook, Spider-Man your way up, and bam, now you have a Hornet. For what? Probably 10 seconds before someone else does it to you? Because they are limited and you need map knowledge to know where the hooks are to use it, it changes how you play the game for a moment and forces you to make new decisions for the best of your team. So if you are being messed up by a Hornet, you go out of your way to find a grapple hook and bring it down so your team can press the attack. Let's talk about the shield and the recon dart. The shield is good at blocking grenades, but for bullets it feels like it's made of paper mache. I don't really know how many bullets it takes to break it, but I feel like when I throw it down in front of me, by the time it's up it's got a hole in it. As for the dart, I mean it's cool, and there's some shenanigans to be had by putting it on a teammate and having them act as some sort of beacon, but it really doesn't last that long, and the range is quite small. There's never a reason to have these abilities over the repulsor or the grapple hook in most situations. Actually, when writing the script, I forgot to mention one of the abilities, the thruster. It is just a remnant of Halo 5. It is decent, nothing spectacular. It has its moments to get you quickly behind cover after peaking a disadvantage, and it can increase your slide speed slightly. I'll preface this by mentioning that this part is taken from the perspective of a keyboard and mouse player. Weapons perform different compared to the peripheral you use. Now let's talk weapons. The weapons in this game, honestly, some are good. Others feel so useless when compared to what you spawn with. The assault rifle is probably the best version of the assault rifle I've played with. The sidekick kicks ass. I'm wondering if it will get nerfed. It's a hit scan laser beam that beats most weapons in TTK from quite far range. The BR feels as good as it used to, with its crisp, skill expressional gameplay. As for the new additions to the game, the pulse carbine is an interesting concept. If you can land every shot with its burst, it would immediately shred the shield, but that doesn't happen often. It isn't hit scan and has minor tracking. Just a player strafing causes it to miss very often and requires you to do a lot of dragging to get it to go on target. The Commando is a sort of replacement for the DMR, but I prefer if that made a return instead. It's a shame really. I really want this weapon to be good, but it has bad recoil, and I kill people faster with the sidekick than I do with the Commando, and that's saying something. The Mangler is a crisp revolver to fulfill your space western needs. As someone who absolutely adores Destiny's hand cannon play, this weapon feels like home. I love every second I get to use with it. On top of that, it's quite strong. Just one shot with it allows you to follow up with a melee for an instant kill. It reminds me of the shotgun of old. Speaking of shotgun, we have the Bulldog, a semi-automatic shotgun. I don't know if it's just me, but this gun is bad. No matter how close you are to your target, you will never get a one-shot kill. I've had kills take upwards of 4 shots before. I just can't stand using this thing. I want the old one back. I want to bull true swords again. The Ravager is okay. It's great for forcing people off of objectives with fire area on the floor, but aside from its full charge state, it's pretty weak. I personally like the Hydra. I like its little lock-on mechanic. It can be fun. The Heat Wave is an interesting weapon, but it's pretty meh. Me and my friends referred to it as the campaign weapon. As for the Sentinel Beam and the Stalker Rifle, yeah, just leave them on the wall. The sidekick will do better most of the time. The Plasma Pistol. Oh, the Plasma Pistol. It was given the ability to stop vehicles in Halo 2, and it has now again lost that ability. Instead, they have added new EMP weapons in the form of the Disruptor and the Shock Rifle. Do not sleep on the Shock Rifle. It is a non-power weapon sniper that can one-tap to the head, but the Disruptor sucks. However, they make up for their faults in their ability to destroy vehicles. Just emptying an entire mag into a vehicle will cause it to fall from the sky or be unable to move. And we haven't even begun to talk about power weapons. Sniping is the hardest it's ever been with the gun now having Bloom, and there not being any bullet magnetism to compensate for bad aim. The Skewer is a new addition, and honestly has some amazing sound design. It's tricky to use but very satisfying to get kills with. The Spanker is the same old and will shred anything that happens to be in its blast radius. The Cinder Shot is an interesting idea. Shoot it normally and the shots fall to the floor and bounce off the surface if it doesn't collide with anything, but aim down the sights for a short period and you can control the direction the ball moves. It's pretty cool, but I haven't found a use for its controlled version yet, but I enjoy shooting it into a boost pad and having it land on unsuspecting victims. And then there's the Energy Sword and the Gravity Hammer. The Grav Hammer is okay. The windup is a lot longer, but it gained further range to compensate for it. As for the Energy Sword, it's the same as before. All the original grenades make their return, with one new grenade, the Disruptor Grenade. This thing shreds. Just throw it into a pack of unaware people and their shields will begin to melt. Throw it towards a vehicle and it will be unable to move for some time. Always make sure to grab these. Oh, and I forgot to mention the best weapon, the Fusion Coil. Whoever thought to add the Fusion Coil as a weapon to throw is genius. Even the medal is called Kong and has a picture of a barrel. It's hilarious. Anytime there's a Fusion Coil, I'll throw it at someone. So the vehicles. I'll preface this as well. I'm pretty terrible at driving in video games. I have never been good at it. I used to always pass the controller to my brother during the driving sections in games. But in Halo, I've always felt pretty confident in my driving capabilities. I recently began replaying all the Master Chief Collection campaigns in preparation for Infinite's launch, and I'd like to say I got used to driving vehicles on mouse and keyboard. I almost made it through the entire Warthog run by myself until a piece of metal landed on my head mid-jump, and my brother had to carry me to victory. But that's good enough for me. With Infinite, I feel that everything I've learned has just been thrown out the goddamn window. I cannot tell if it's because I am bad at driving or the vehicles are so damn light. The Mongoose and Warthog can flip over at moment's notice, just from the ground being slightly uneven. I constantly slam into walls and flip upside down, allowing the enemies to pick us off without trying. As for the Ghost, it feels way stronger in this game. It moves much faster with the boost, and changes its direction a lot faster too. The gun's damage seems to be about the same. It feels good. It feels heavy. I like it. I've had very limiting flying with the Banshee and the Hornet, but the Hornet is far superior than the Banshee. I just don't like the Banshee at all. It doesn't feel anything like its Halo 3 counterpart. I can't hover still anymore by holding back, the shots feel weaker, the alternate fire is the same as it was before, whereas a good Hornet pilot can almost ruin your chances of winning in any objective-based game mode by just hiding away until they are ready to strike. The amount of times I've played Stockpile and there's just a Hornet ready and waiting to kill you as soon as you pick up a power cell is insane. The Hornet's alternate fire is just objectively better. It locks onto vehicles and destroys them pretty fast. I haven't tried the Scorpion or the Wraith, but they seem to be able to decimate the lands just like they used to. The Wraith has a shield on the turret spot now, which is nice. Okay, let's talk maps. The 4v4 maps are good. There may be one map I don't like in the roster, and that is Launch Site. I just feel like it's way too big for a 4v4, but way too small for big team battle. I never have fun on this map, and when it's Capture the Flag, it has rounds with it, so it takes an absolute year to complete, for only 50 XP per game. My favorite maps are Recharge, Streets, and Aquarius. The rest are decent, I don't feel anything particular towards them. However, some maps do clearly favor some game modes. For example, Livefire is an okay Slayer map, but when you play Oddball on this map it changes so significantly. There are places that you never really visit that suddenly become power spots for holding the ball. The two main power spots allow you to throw the ball off the map to reset its position, so the moment you get pressured enough, just throw the ball off the map and it goes to its normal spawn. Just tell your team beforehand and they should be ready to take it from there. Or Capture the Flag on Behemoth. You can take the flag from one side of the map to the other in almost no time, and with the help of vehicles it becomes really important to make sure you're covering your flag at all costs. As for big team battle, why are there only 3 maps? And why are they all the same? The only differences are the time of day and where the main lanes are. Visually it's the same, except one has a gigantic gun in the center that you can't even use. High power is okay. I like this map and the boost pads are great. I love throwing grenades or shooting shots from the Cinder Shot or Ravager up the boost pad. Did you know the Skewer can be shot off the boost pad too? I really want to try hit something with that, but I doubt I can. But my favorite map is Fragmentation. It reminds me of Valhalla from Halo 3. That's a good map to be reminded of. I really hope they have more maps planned for big team battle, as I am already bored of its tiny map pool. I really want a map set in a city like we see in ODST. Considering Forge is going to take 6 months after launch, this game is in dire need of maps. A side note, if you're a content creator or you just like to record clips of you kicking ass, do not, I repeat, do not rely on the theater mode in this game. In past games you wouldn't need to record live and you could just watch back your gameplay in theater mode, but it is awful in this game. I don't think I can emphasize this enough. Theater mode is insanely buggy and laggy. First of all, I thought when you saved a match to My Bookmarks, it would be saved forever. Nope. I have no idea what My Bookmarks is for, but it sure as hell isn't to make sure the game never disappears. It will disappear regardless. Secondly, the UI is awful. You can't hide the theater UI without having to hide all the UI. It just looks weird. Why can't we hide all the theater UI and just record as if it was a live game? The UI in the game also gets destroyed. I think it begins to overlay every person's motion sensor and reports enemies in every direction at all times. Thirdly, when you die in theater mode, if you try to fast forward past your death timer, it will switch to a different person's perspective, requiring you to sift through 8 or 24 people to find your place again. And finally, as mentioned above, it's so laggy. The gameplay just hitches backwards and forwards. It doesn't run smoothly at all. You could be running at 144 FPS, but it would look like you are running at 5. You are better off just recording it live with OBS or something, which sucks if you suffer from any form of performance anxiety. Okay, let's go through some of the major downsides to Halo Infinite. The biggest downside that everyone knows is that Forge and Co-op Campaign is not here on launch. In a recent interview with Jason Staten, we learned that Forge and Co-op Campaign could come as late as Season 3. That's around August 2022. The mode was something that kept people playing Halo 3 no matter how many days passed, no matter what games were released afterwards. If by some miracle the game's player base doesn't bleed out by the time Forge comes out, I cannot wait to see what people can create with it. If it can finally scratch the custom game itch I've been having since Halo 3, I will be a happy man. As for co-op campaign, I have played co-op with my brother on every Halo campaign ever. I wanted to do the same here, but I am disappointed that I can't. Maybe I'll grab the Game Pass to play it alone, grab the multiplayer cosmetics, and then buy it when Forge and co-op launches. No option to choose your playlist, and I guess I'll combine it here, lack of game modes. My 3 favorite game modes in Halo are SWAT, Griffball, and Infection. There is a distinct lack of all these game modes in Halo Infinite. I haven't seen a playlist this limited in forever. On top of that, we currently can't choose any game mode, so if you're just wanting to vibe with some Slayer, unlucky. If you want to get 4 of your friends together and sweat it out and capture the flag, unlucky. It's a strange system which is compounded by the challenge system. There is nothing more annoying than win 3 capture the flags when you can't queue into it specifically. Just doing quick play endlessly till capture the flag, only to lose because your teammates are distracted by their own challenges. Speaking of challenges, let's talk about the Battle Pass. Okay, the Battle Pass is strange to me. It initially launched with no XP per game, which felt really bad. I honestly thought I was one of these people who didn't care about chasing a Skinner box reward mentality. If they were all gone, I'd just be able to play a game endlessly if it was good. But without the end game XP and the subsequent unlocking of things, I feel like I was going mad. I enjoyed the game, but it felt like the game didn't respect my time and that every game was just a waste of time. And the challenges. Oh my god, the challenges. They just forced some of the most selfish play out of the players. Why bother playing the objective, or even trying to win a game? That doesn't get you XP. What does get you XP is killing 5 people with a Mangler, or 10 kills with the Hydra. The game doesn't track if you do good or bad, so why chase after anything other than the XP the challenges have to offer? You may say that you should enjoy a good game for the sake of a good game, but not even Halo Infinite cares if you did good. There are no career pages. How you perform is never tracked by the game. Want to know what your lifetime KDA is? Too bad. They said that they would fix these challenges at a later date, and recently reset all the weekly challenges. While there is more of play this or win that, I still have some annoying ones, like flatten 5 people with a repulsor, or save a friendly Spartan's life from far away. What does that even mean? How far away do I have to be to get this? I guess I'll figure it out when it rotates in as I have one to do, or just spend a challenge reroller. After some time they did add 50 XP per game, but it still feels pretty meh. I was really hoping they keep it at 100 XP per game. 50 XP right now means that you won't see an increase in XP until you play more than 20 games a day. In fact, if you play less than that, you do see a net decrease in XP. I guess it's better, because instead of having a challenge to play 3 games for 150 XP, if you played 2 and logged off, you netted yourself 0, but now you netted yourself 100 XP? It's better, but it can be even better. Also, the free Battle Pass contains 40 challenge rerollers. You use challenge rerollers to unlock more challenge rerollers. It's kinda sad, and it really wants you to buy the Battle Pass. Level 81 is the first free helmet. You won't be changing your Spartan's helmet to level 81. That is 81,000 XP, or 1,620 games if you just calculate it by 50 XP per game. One of the most core features of Halo is customizing your Spartan to look cool. It was always awesome seeing someone else's Spartan, to see how each one compares. Each one had its own expression and character that gave it a lot of its charms. Honestly, it's quite sad to see that a lot of people have not bothered to change their colors on their guy, because what is the point? I have personally chosen the weirdest color option I was given, whereas I would generally mix and match sets to try and create something cool looking. You're looking at someone who went through the pain of completing all of the original Vidmasters for Recon, so I care pretty deeply about cosmetics in video games, and this isn't it. I've played almost 50 hours in this game and have not received a different piece of armor for my character to wear. I am still wearing the base armor. I am level 15 in the pass, and the first new chest piece is at level 21. It is noted that we will unlock the Yoroi armor next week in an event, but then everyone will just wear that armor instead. It's not like they can mix and match between the 2 cores as mentioned before. Imagine being able to use the samurai sword that's on your hip for the other cores. That would be so cool. Segueing nicely into the next part, customizing your Spartan has never been more limited and restricted in a Halo game. Tying armor to armor kits is an interesting concept, but I failed to see why it needed to be done. What does it achieve? Why can we not just have a base Spartan where we apply all our armor to him? The core system is limiting. It doesn't allow you to use armor pieces from different cores, which honestly hinders the creativity of Spartans. Right now, everyone looks the same. Inside of these armor cores are armor kits, full sets of armor you can equip without needing to apply each piece individually, and you just want to wear one full set. The major flaw of this is you can't equip parts of this armor kit. You cannot mix and match them, and for some reason pieces are completely missing as an option to wear individually. For example, you can use the entire Emil kit to look like Emil, but want to have his shoulder pad with a knife in it. It's just straight up missing for some reason. And on top of that, the cores have their own color coatings, which aren't even shared across the cores. How is that a thing? So I unlock red for Mark 7 core, but it doesn't unlock for the Mark 5 core, or the Yoroi. Who thought this was a good idea? Not to mention that there is a distinct lack of colors. I can't even choose white and red combo, black red combo, purple orange, as it's just not there. The colors given for free are pretty meh. Let us choose the coatings as a base and adjust the saturation and hue as we see fit, or convert the coatings into a pattern system, and allow us to choose any color we want over these patterns. For God's sake, even the visors are tied to armor cores. What the hell for? The cherry on top of this shit pie is that they charge money for this. They charge a lot of money for this. Currently in the store, they have white locked behind a $20 paywall, but it's not even usable on any other core than the Mark 7. What are you going to do? Re-release white again for another $20 bundle, but now it's usable on the Mark 5 of the Yoroi? I absolutely despise this system. But there is a tiny sliver of hope. The bots in game have the ability to use cross-core armor. They take armor pieces from different cores and use it with others. If they are able to do it, then maybe sometime in the future we will be able to do it. Maybe it's just the hopium speaking, but it has a chance to happen. Side note, but the emblems have the same issue too. I cannot use the emblem I've been rocking since Halo 3, and I didn't realize how upset I would be at this, but here we are. I am not entirely sure how to put this, but there has been a war on every social media platform talking about which peripheral is better, and how some are seen as cheating in comparison. The mouse and keyboard folks swear the game hates them, and that it just doesn't work in Infinite, that the game was created to be played with the controller, that there is horrible input lag when you play online in this game, and everything stops functioning the way it should when compared to other shooters. Then there's the other side which believes the controller is inferior. They lose all of their gunfights to mouse and keyboard users, absolutely demolishing them in reaction speed, aim and movement. Neither of these opinions are correct nor incorrect. My own input on this is this. I play on PC. I went through every weapon drill with the keyboard and mouse 3 times, then did it with controller 3 times. Now something to mention, I haven't played with a controller in an FPS properly since 2013/14, which was about the time I started playing CSGO on my laptop. To my surprise, I was able to reach scores with a controller that matched, or sometimes even beat the scores I could get with mouse and keyboard. I'm a very good twitch shooter, so my scores with the sniper, the skewer, and the shock rifle were higher, but I'm pretty meh at tracking, so stuff like the BR, Commando, and Sidekick were lower. Maybe people like Shroud can get better use out of the keyboard and mouse in this game, but it is very unforgiving. When compared to the controller, it has almost aimbot levels of assistance. Like mentioned above, I am beyond rusty, but I performed better with the controller. The Sidekick feels like a completely different beast with it. Currently, I am still undecided. On one hand, using a controller gives you vastly better aim, with little to no effort, but mobility takes a lot of time to master. On the other hand, mouse and keyboard gives aim that you have to work harder to earn, but the mobility is unmatched and the reaction times are prevalent. Maybe controller aim assist on PC needs to be toned down. Maybe 343 just needs to add an option to only queue with the peripheral you are using in a social playlist. It's just a thought. My last point is player collision, and we'll also add team damage. I can see the upsides and downsides of there not being player collision. My only complaint with it is that now it is gone, melees have become wonky. The amount of times I get into melee battles, but end up behind them, or I'm at the exact same range as the enemy, and I'll melee and not lunge forward, but he will and I'll die for it. This happens very often, and it frustrates me to no end. If you don't want to bring back friendly collision, I'd at least have enemy collision. And we know the 50-50 player split on collision being in or not isn't a real statistic. I haven't heard anyone wanting to keep it off. As for team damage, look, I know it's just my opinion, but grenades in this game feel completely out of hand. I don't remember it being this bad in other games. The lack of team damage means people are just throwing them without care. Just make sure it lands somewhere near the objective and you'll profit. I've also dipped my toes in ranked, and you can see people forget team damage is even a thing. The amount of times people just throw grenades onto the point and kill you because they haven't been playing with team damage on is insane. Honestly, I think it would be good to add it in. Maybe for social play, let's make it 50% of the damage instead of all of it. So it wouldn't outright kill anyone, but at least it will give the player some thought process when throwing it. So I know I've said a lot of negative things right now, and you're thinking, this Halo must suck. There is no way this could be returned to form. And in its current state, I am inclined to agree with you. I've said what I've said out of love for the franchise and this game's potential. Even if things I mentioned are very negative, they are mostly unrelated to gameplay. Unlike games of recent like Battlefield 2042, where the issues lie within the game itself. With Infinite, the problems lie outside of the game. The gameplay itself is fantastic. With the 50 hours I have put into this game, I have enjoyed more than 95% of my time spent with it. It's just everything surrounding the game blows or needs some minor nerfs or buffs. But it is not unfixable. So right now, no, in my opinion it is not a return to form. However, 343 has one of the best Halo games made in the last decade on their hands. But will they capitalize on it? They've done pretty well reacting to the player base's complaints and implementing fixes. If they keep working on it, maybe by the next season or the season after, we will see all of the issues remedied. Once that is done, there is a high chance that we'd be looking at a new age of Halo. I know that this is a very different video for me, but my recent addiction has prompted me to make a new video. Also, working on a different project is good for the burnout I am currently experiencing with my Final Fantasy XIV lore videos. I promise I'll get one more lore vid out before Endwalker launch. But everything mentioned here is just my opinion. If you agree or disagree, leave it down in the comments below. If you made it this far through the video, just know that you are acknowledged and appreciated. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. I would say consider subscribing, but I won't be making much content like this. Endwalker's launch is on December 3rd. Destiny 2's anniversary is December 7th. Halo Infinite's campaign is on December 8th. It's just not possible to play all this at the same time. I am just one guy. Still, I'll try to do what I can do until then. I'll see you in the next video. May you ever walk in the light of the crystal.